sorry, let me make sure I'm recording. This record is just stupid good, dude. Like,
Man.
I'm really, really, really excited about it. And the other thing is that I'm doing some production on this guy's project right now that's like kind of like a blues based thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, man, I'm gonna really kind of dig into this, record a little bit. I mean, not only I've been keeping up with your singles and all that stuff, but the I was really excited for this just because it's just like, I don't know. I don't feel like we get a record like this, out of Richmond very often. So I felt like that I hit up Tony. I was just like, man, I just need to go ahead and interview Justin Golden or whatever and see what's up, and Chip. And he was like, cool, whatever. So I mean, this will probably be out pretty soon. And
Cool.
I'm also recording this because this might be, if you're okay with it, then this might be extra on our Patreon, on the Hustle Season Patreon or something or whatever, because we've been talking
Yeah.
about your record anyways, and on there, so cats can get familiar and all that. So if you're cool with that,
Definitely, man. I appreciate that.
yeah, man, of course, dude. I mean, you're a friend of the show, and you know, you out here hustling. I mean, for real. So like, it's just you're part of the demo.
This thing was a grind. I will tell you that.
Yeah, man.
That was a major lift to get this thing out.
Oh, dude. Well, let's see. Where do we start? You know what? I'll start with this question. How long have you been writing this album, this new album?
Since basically May of 2019. Like that was when I first I went on like a trip, and I was like, the goal of the trip was like a few different things, but I had time for once to like sit down and like actually write songs. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this really cool, basically whole East Coast thing, do some shows, go see some shows, had time myself, and I'm gonna like have a coming of age story and like write this freaking record. So that's when I started, and I wrote Can't Get Right on that trip. Like I basically wrote like version 1 on the trip with the hook and like the little riff, and then that got rewritten at the very end. That was the last thing I finished for the record too. It's the first and last thing I did. But
Okay, that, you know what, that makes a ton of sense, because that record has that vibe of sounding like either the first record that you recorded or the last record. Like, it sounds like that to me, because after listening to the rest of the record, that I was like, oh, he's coming with this for this song, but the rest of the record is not really in that vibe, like just that one.
mm-hmm.
And it feels like a real definite statement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I feel like it's a definite statement. So you recorded that last.
It was recorded. Well, so I wrote it first. I wrote the words and all that stuff, and then after I cut all the demos with Chip, it was the last song I brought to Chip.
Okay.
Because I just didn't feel like it was ready, and like I took all what we'd been working on, like I basically like streamlined my technique, my process for like how to write and how to record music, doing demos with Chip at his house a couple times a week. And so we started that in September of 2020, and then December 2021 we finished that. And I remember it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. It was like 2-3 o'clock. I poured myself a whiskey and I rewrote Can't Get Right, top to bottom, except for the hook. Like I there were things I liked about it, but I was like, this story is not driving with me anymore. And so I sat down. It took me like 3 hours to like get the whole, like all the verses together. And I thought, I was like, man, I'm on one right now. I'm doing something. I was like, I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
well, okay, because number one, when you sitting down to like do some songwriting, working, Like when you've done that and like you've actually sat down and really got into it and you feel like you've come with something, I mean, it definitely feels like an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because it's hard. I feel like that's the hardest thing is to sit down and just like as a project go, okay, I need to finish this song
Hmm.
or finish this thing. And it's not something that it comes naturally to me. So does that come natural to you, like to sit down and just go, I need to finish this, I need to write this or finish it up or whatever?
I definitely work better with the deadline, but it just I need the idea to be there, and like um I need a spark, and like I had all the bones, like I just had to plug in something that was better than what I had, and I worked and worked, and I don't know what happened that day. I guess it was really just like the grind of this whole thing. It just came together, and having the focus, like, so the song, the reason I have it first is like that song is literally Hard Times in a Woman. Like it is the album, like everything top to bottom. Like he loses, the person in the song loses his girl because he lost all his money because he got drunk or whatever, you know. And a lot of it is not his fault. If you listen, like a lot of it just happenstance, but that's it. So that kind of like, I don't know, just came out, kind of flowed out. It took like 3 hours. I remember it was like dark in my apartment by the time I finished, and I hadn't turned on any lights because I was just working.
That's the zone, in the zone. Yeah, okay, I mean, you're hitting a lot of cool points with me on this already because again, when I heard that song, and then when you put out the artwork with that, I believe um I felt like that it matched, like it works. Like I was like, man, this really seems to come together to me, you know. So when I saw the artwork and then I heard that song, I'm like, this is a marriage, you know. So what made you draw into that artwork, you know, for the record? Because that is, you know, I mean, it's really, again, I feel like you're making a lot of kind of statements with
Mhm.
this record. So what was the ideas behind the artwork?
I wanted something that was really simple and bold, but also took kind of classic blues iconography and like turned it into something that was mine. So like, and without it being like super obvious, like you know, all of those are different symbols of like good luck and bad luck, you know. So a little bit of a balance, and then you know the frame is sort of like the empty frame is like sense of longing. But I didn't want to just have it right in front of you, like do like a rabbit's foot or something. That's lame. It's lame as fuck. Like they're not gonna do it. So I spent a lot of time. I actually took a while on that step to get the graphic designer like really dialed into what I was looking for, because that is an actual photo like that he did there. Like
Okay.
those are like he set up that scene and then like shot a photo and then did some other stuff
Oh,
to it.
okay. Okay. Oh, well, that's even cooler. Because I thought that was just like some. I thought I mean, you could just Google something and just be
Yeah,
like, yeah, give me this, and you're gonna find it. So
yeah.
that's a very specific thing that you were going for, and the whole thing.
Hmm.
That's really cool. Um, okay. Let me see if I want to go back here to the writing. Okay, so Can't Get Right was first. Um, what were what were your inspirations musically for this album?
That's such a tough question. So it's such a long answer, is what it.
No,
I mean, it's
look,
like.
I know it's tough. I know. I mean, I kind of hate. I mean, like I made these questions myself. I kind of hate these questions, but I feel like you know, again, I just feel like that you're kind of making a statement with this record. I feel like that your singles have kind of you've really been building up, you
Mhm.
know, to this with a lot of the singles and the EPs and everything else. Um, so yeah, I was wondering like if there was like something you were really shooting for musically with this record.
Yeah, so I think the answer is like two different tracks of like, one is like the songs I was listening to like to kind of come up with the music, that like the techniques and stuff. And then there's also the sound, like the actual sound and texture of the record was something like, those are two things I nitpicked really, really carefully. And I mean, so as far as like inspirations of other artists, like Daniel Norgren, if you're familiar with him at all, Swedish guy,
Okay. Okay.
really like kind of, low key blues and like different types of folk. But he's got like, for me, a lot of his tracks are like a little bit hit or miss, or his
Right.
albums are a little bit hit or miss. But like the ones that hit are just like, I mean, just amazing. And in 2019, he released a record, which was just fantastic. It's called
Yeah.
Wu Dang, I think.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and like the sound of it was really cool, and it was all live. I think they cut it all like live takes in one day. And but I'd already been listening to him. Like I learned fingerstyle, like that was one of my major influences, fingerstyle guitar playing, to his YouTube videos like 10 years ago. And early Black Keys, His Gold Messenger, Phil Cook,
Okay.
as like more the contemporary ones. And then you got like Taj Mahal, Howlin' Wolf. So I made like a long playlist of things, and like Magic Sam, like just really, really cool 60s and 60s era blues. Because I think I was like, man, I heard there was a Taj Mahal album, his first one, actually, the first one with like a lot of the hits that the Allman Brothers did and stuff like that.
Right.
I was like, I haven't heard a blues album like this really since that. Like it was like some groove and stuff, no one's playing blues in those ways anymore. It's always just like smoky, dusty. Like I wanted something that, I don't think I quite got there with this, because it just like the songs weren't the same, but like that was a major influence for me.
I know, again, man, I mean, no, you're hitting it right on the head. Of course, I mean, it's your record, but like, I mean, I think that's what the other reason why I wanted to check it out, because, I felt like that you have definitely you're cultivating a different kind of image of, there's like a new blues thing. There's like a new blues thing that's happening where I
Mm-hmm.
don't know where I mean, I guess maybe like, the Gary Clark Juniors, and
Mm-hmm.
then, even maybe the Black Keys with Dan Arbach, his production,
Mm-hmm.
and like him working with a lot of different people. It seems to be like a new, there's like this new thing for blues where it's not like just for, the older people. Like,
Yeah.
it's dressing it up. You're dressing it up, but it's not dressing it up. It's just maybe making it dirtier and maybe a little more real,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe back to the singer-songwriter thing, because
Yeah.
maybe the virtuosic thing and a little bit of that, like, you got
Mm-hmm.
the guitar players,
Yeah.
where it's just like it's about the guitar player, and
Mm-hmm.
the guy's got a singer,
Yeah.
what I mean. So it's like it's not really about the singer-songwriter thing anymore, but it
Yeah.
seems like it's going back to that. And I mean, so it seems like that again, you were like really kind of trying to you definitely were trying to go for a newer sound with this record.
Yeah. And I was, it's a little bit also of me, like when I started writing this record, I had just realized, and another reason the title is significant to me is I was watching an interview with one of my, my friend John Tavius Willis, who's like Grammy nominated blues person, and I've known him for a number of years. And he used
Mhm.
to do these interviews with older bluesmen that are still around, because like they're basically unsung. And one of them, the guy states something like, "The blues ain't nothing but bad times and a woman," and that for me specifically hit me, because like I'm not the guitar player blues person. I'm not like the lead guy ripping, and I don't really want to be, like, to be honest. Like I don't, like it'd be cool to do that sometimes, but like I like writing songs, like playing songs,
Right.
and I like learning songs.
Right.
But so it's been tough to be in like a blues box and not be a real lead player.
Mhm.
And when I heard that statement, I was like, okay, like, so the blues can be more than just like 12 bars, it can be just like, it can be whatever I want it to be, as long as content is there. And like it all's coming from the same place. And I wanted to honor the tradition. That's why I have 8-bar blues up there. I have 12-bar blues. I have like, country blues, like Lightning When She Smiles is like a country blues song, at least the
Right.
way that I wrote it originally. And it's still played the same way, just with better production, So that's why, like, so it's, this record is me reconciling all those influence I have and then trying to make it a blues album in content and then something modern at the same time.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah, it really hits those marks to me, for sure. What is the guitar that you mostly used on the record? Did you use like the same guitar, or did you switch it up a lot? What was your axe of choice on the record?
So anytime you hear me finger picking, it's probably my Airline, which is like a Harmony Rocket reissue, like a 70s Harmony Rocket reissue.
Okay.
And that with like fixed strings on it. Because I just played a lot of acoustic guitar. So
Okay.
if I don't have fixed strings, it's going to be bended, like the notes will be intonated wrong.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But it really, that's a semi-hollow body and it's like really thumping. So like that's what you hear on like the Gator and like Ain't Just Luck and stuff like that.
Okay.
Acoustic, it's probably my Yamaha, but like we also use the Martin, and then like my resonator is up there too. I have a Recording King resonator.
Nice.
So it's unplugged.
And I am gonna ask Chip about this as well, but as far as your vocal sound for the record, because I mean, it's definitely pretty dirty, for most of the, but in a way that you don't even notice it. Like I don't even notice it a lot, and then I'm like, damn, there's a lot of stuff on the vocal. I'm like, there's you got I mean, there's this slap back, there's definitely some distortion, it's like that harp vocal sound. But I mean, talk a little bit about that real quick, just like, what are your feelings on that, on your voice? Like, is that what you prefer, or like or is that like you and Chip like kind of coming together on that? What is your feeling on your your vocal chain?
I really like the way it sounds. I think it's what really glued the record together for me. After hearing it, I think that was something more Adrian did at Montrose. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. But we, I don't know, I think that's something we worked on a lot through the demo process. And then when Lance recorded it, like when we were in the studio, it didn't quite have the same thickness. And I think that's, once we got that dialed in right, it made it pop. I think that's what, like, that glued it together for me. So I really do like the sound. I know it's a big change for some people that haven't heard, what I've been putting out the last, year or so, but also I wanted to make a statement on the record. I wanted to be like, I want you to know that this is from an album when you hear these songs,
Yeah, you really, you definitely put some lines in the sand on the record for sure. Can you talk about the musicians on the record? Are they mostly your band, right? For the most part?
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really wanted to be mostly Richmond people. That was something I was really adamant about. And then, as many Black musicians as I could get to, but it ended up being
many sacrifices. Yeah.
But it was COVID, and it was very limited to that. I want to keep the circle small. So the main features, like getting Ben Hunter on fiddle from Seattle, I've known him for years. That was really like significant for me. And then getting Andrew Ali, who like largely I probably wouldn't be like who I am in Richmond or even in the blues scene around if it wasn't for knowing Andrew. So it was great to like get them both on it. And then otherwise it's just people in my band, and then Tommy Booker, who was a hired gun. And that was awesome addition. Like I wanted keys all over this thing. I was like, I need a killer keys player that can just like sit down and just rip this thing,
Right.
But for the band, we got Chip on bass, and he played a number of instruments, acoustic guitar and some stuff, and lots of percussion and backing vocals, and
Hmm.
Tyler Meacham. I think another thing that really changed the sound of the record was having Tyler handle all the backing vocal arrangements. So anything that's not just me singing is something that like, if you hear her voice on there, she like arranged the backing vocals for that after a short meeting with me.
It's very nice. Because I think that surprised me when her voice popped up, like on the, like, I think the second or third record. I can't remember. But she
Yeah,
just popped. Yeah, she pops up, and I'm like, I was like, it's probably Tyler, but she sounded perfect, and I like, adding that female element, even for touches or colors or whatever. It's real nice.
And it was new for me to like, I never given that big of a job to someone else. Like usually I would nitpick that and like, this is what I want. And sometimes I was like, we had a meeting beforehand and I said, this is what I want on specific songs, more or less. What you do with it in this reign, is I believe in you because I know you're good. And then some songs like Lightning When She Smiles, I was like, I don't know what I want. If you feel something, you do it, and then we'll listen back. And then, I mean, it was, and that's what, for me, that's one of my favorite tracks on the record because I mean, it really like, it's got some moments.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of leads up into the next question is what are your favorite songs on the record? It's a hard one, I know, but I mean, if you have to.
Like half the record. But
right.
I mean, I think it's overall pretty strong. Can't Get Right is like, I mean, for me, probably number one. Number two, I mean, I guess a three-way tie for number one. Can't Get Right, Lightning When She Smiles, Moon Far Away.
I agree. I mean, I have to say, but I mean, the lyrics on the record are just fantastic. I mean, I really feel like you just hit it out the park. I mean, I mean, we talked about, was there any specific other lyrical inspirations for this record, or anyone in particular that really like get you going every single time you hear like one of their songs, and like just lyrically you're just always like, man, like who's that person?
I don't know. I listened to so much old pre-war blues, and I think that was the major inspiration for a lot of some of the lines. Like Lightning When She Smiles is like an old blues line from a song like 100 years ago, and I was like, man, I hadn't heard that one until somewhere around quarantine, and I was like, I've never heard anyone else use this in a song before, and immediately that was another one I basically wrote top to bottom like in one go. Using that as a guide, and then so it's a lot of kind of like churchy language in there, like stuff like Must Be Honey, and that's sometimes what I go for. But I don't think any one person, other than maybe Taj Mahal, because he uses a lot of those lines too, from other, like he takes like mix and matches, like plug and play for some of them. But once I get the idea for the song, then I'm like, okay, it'd be cool to add something from a song, an obscure line from something else, if possible.
Man, very cool. Okay. How about just favorite songs or records right now in general? Is there anything that is like that other than your record? Because I'm sure you've been just like all, I mean, this has been a process, so I'm sure you've been just listening to it ad nauseum for a long time. But is there anything that you're actually like that you're really into right now, or anything that started your year off right, other than your record that you've been checking out, or anything?
Looking through this quick playlist I've got here. Like I said, I kind of exist in like two worlds, like one foot in like the 50s and one foot in now, but
right, post-war, anything post-war.
Yeah. I have really been digging this this group called Vivian Leva and Riley Calcagno. They're also they're doing like their record is out through Free Dirt Records, who is doing like my promotion and stuff.
Okay.
And I met Riley at a thing down in North Carolina last fall, and really loving that record. And like, you know, they're from like kind of an old time scene, but they're also just like killer songwriters and players. So that's a really great one. Been listening to a good amount of Alan Stone, and
Oh yeah.
Alan Stone's killer. And Yola, who I really didn't listen to much until really this past year, but Yola, you know, because that's another Dan Auerbach joint.
I definitely heard that name probably through him, because that dude's been like producing like crazy.
Yeah.
Just like every week he's got like a new band in that studio.
Yeah, that one, I mean, she's a killer. She's from the UK, and just a killer, just phenomenal singer, songwriter.
Very cool. Yeah. If you have that playlist nearby, or if you want to just put that in the message thing, that would greatly help me, just so I could spell these names right and stuff. Okay, I think that is all I have, buddy. I just yeah, dude. I mean, I just felt like I had to hit y'all up on this, man, because this record is really good, and I'm glad that you record's done. So or the interview's over, so I'm not gonna put this in, obviously. But I mean, I'm so glad that you're putting, you know, effort, like a ton of effort into this, and you got like a whole team, the whole nine helping you out with this is like really fantastic. So I'm like really excited for you, man, because this is really good. Really good.
Thank you, man. I really, it's one of those ones where like, I've like heavily invested in it, and like, you know, years of my life have gone into making this, and lots of money. But you know, it's one of those things where you're like, am I crazy or is this good? Like I'm in the like post studio listening to it. I'm like, am I crazy or is it good? And it took really until like the NPR thing for me, like, okay, it's good. All right, we're good. It's like, it sounds good. They like it. They're not going to put it up there. Literally, they like the way that I got into that.
Yeah.
Like they like submit it through like one of the affiliates, and for this one specific article or a feature, and they will submit it and not take it. They'll just not have an article that day if they don't like it.
Wow.
And this is only the third, or I think you said the second or third one out of Asheville that they've ever gotten through. So so that really made me, it's like, okay, so obviously they like it for real.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, like you could, I think you could just tell the care with in the record, without it sounding too like overcooked. You know what I mean? Like it sounds really fresh, you know. The guy that you have on drums on the that he plays in your band, right?
Yeah, Drew Barnaki, he was in like Blush Face and lots and lots of bands in town.
Yeah, he sounds great on the record too. I mean, you know, it's just really awesome, man. I'm trying to do a little bit more of a interview too, where it's like not like super in depth, but like a little bit more in depth about instruments and like stuff like that. You know, I think that people should kind of know about that stuff. So
Yeah.
you know, so I just was trying out something different here, man. But man, this was great. I have this recorded, so it's going to be transcribed, and I don't know how much they're going to use. I'm going to put this, I think I'm trying to do like a dual kind of interview for the record. Like maybe I don't know if it could like be a half and half thing or something, you know what I mean? Like you'd be a few questions from you, because I'm going to ask him kind of some of the same questions, but that they'll go a little bit more
for Chip.
For Chip, but it'll go more on the production side, kind of thing or whatever. So
that's something I really wanted to highlight, and you notice in like a lot of the interviews is like, it's like, make sure people know that Chip was like behind this, because it had a huge direction for the sound. I definitely couldn't have pulled it off the way that it sounds now without Chip's direction. I was like, this will hopefully put you on the map as a producer, man, because I think you know, I've known Chip since college, so like this is what he really wants to do, and I think it sounded great.
Yeah, he's yeah. I mean, well, I could tell. I could definitely tell with him, and I mean, honestly, the dude, both of y'all. I mean, but he's both very inspirational to me because, like I said, I'm producing this guy's record, and it's like I said, it's like kind of a blues based thing. It's live, but it's not. It's it's it could easily be a bar band record, but
Mhm.
I'm trying not. I don't think it. I'm trying to make it like a little bit more
Mhm.
like structured or whatever. But
Yeah.
and all of that. So y'all's record and Chip doing that as well, because I just don't feel like there's a lot of guys in Richmond, musicians that are really kind of putting themselves out there, production wise, or trying to do stuff production wise. And I feel like, we should really take the opportunity to do it because everyone is really capable, and everyone has like really awesome ideas, and it's like we have to, we're gonna die, bro. Like we got to do this
Yeah.
before we get too old to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like and I feel like that you're really taking that opportunity. I mean, obviously, I mean you've been going in this year and all that. So I wanted to do this really out of just respect for both of you guys, just being like, that man, these guys are just like crushing it right now,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have that pandemic quality to the record either. Yeah, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't mean that in
Mhm.
like it doesn't, maybe
You
because
feel
you
rushed.
guys
Yeah.
would, yeah. I don't
Or
know if
like,
it's I don't know if it's rushed or if it just has like a maybe not phoned in quality, but there's just something there'll be it's something that feels like maybe phoned in. There's a phoned in kind of quality to a lot of records that came through,
mm-hmm.
like for major people,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
I guess I can hear that you guys still really work pretty closely together, and and once you guys figured out how to do it, as far as recording and stuff like that through the pandemic and everything else, that you were able to work it out and everything, which is good. um but yeah, you don't hear that on the record is what I'm saying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It sounds really fresh.
Thanks, man. I really, I think for me, I felt like I leveled up at various stages through this thing, like nailing takes to a metronome. I never really played to a metronome before. And like finger picking to like a click track is like not easy.
Oh
Like
bro.
so hard. Like it's incredibly
Oh,
hard.
I feel for anybody that has to do that. I feel for any guitar player when they do that, because it's just like it feels like it's that you definitely be put on the spot on for that kind of shit. But you got to do it sometimes, but,
Yeah.
but that's awesome, dude. I'm really excited for you guys. And yeah, I'll let you know more when this thing keeps rolling out or whatever, as far as the article and everything. But
Cool.
dude, thanks for taking the time out, man.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you asking me. This has been a lot of fun to talk about this.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, man. Well, dude, enjoy your day, and I'm gonna talk to Chip and in a little bit, and I'll holler at you soon, man. I'm sure I'll see you around.
All right.
All
Later.
right, buddy. Peace, man.